Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another session of Author's Corner. And it is my great pleasure to invite Miss Manisha Amol, who is just out with her, she's made her debut with her first poetry book. Welcome on board, Manisha.
Thank you, Nisha, and a very good evening to all the viewers who are here with us. And I'm sure you will enjoy this session.
I'm sure. And is there anything that you would like to say to Manoj and to Asian Literary Society? How has
Yeah,
your journey
definitely.
been before I give you a brief introduction?
Yes, sure, definitely. ALS, Asian Literary Society, founded by Manoj Krishnan, has been my, you would say, the stepping stone, or rather, the first stepping stone of my literary journey. And I have always been associated with ALS poetry competitions. I mean, there are
Yes.
too many competitions that he does, and he keeps us on our toes, and it also hones our writing skills. So, a big thank to Manoj Krishnan for giving us this wonderful platform where you have, a lot of good people, literary people, knowledgeable people. In fact, all of them are doctors. I see. I am see myself as the only person who is not a
No,
doctorate.
same here.
So it's actually indeed a pleasure, and whatever I have learned is on this platform. So thank you once again. So I'm
Thank
very
you,
happy to
Manisha.
be on this platform.
Thank you, Manisha, very much. And I think whatever you said, it stands true for most of us. We made our
Yes.
debut here and we've
Yes.
taken, in these last 2 years that we've been associated, we
Yes.
have, shown a lot of progress in our writing,
Yes.
enhanced, it has enhanced. So now I will, for those, most of the people know Manisha, but for those who she's new, I will like to give a brief introduction. Manisha Amol, a science graduate from DU, pursued MBA and worked with many corporations at various levels and won accolades for her achievements. And now she's currently working as a director with a startup. Manisha began her literary journey about 2 years back, I think similar as me,
Yes.
with
Yes.
focus on poetry in English and Hindi, short stories, and ghazals, which we would be listening. I hope Manisha is ready with them. Her poems have been published in 40 anthologies, 38 national and 2 international. Manisha is actively associated with numerous online portals that promote literature. She has participated in online talk shows, conducted and moderated live shows. Amongst the many beautiful poems that she has written, Prerna, a poem selected for an international online bilingual platform, Setu, was her stepping stone. The Kali project, another international anthology, was a satisfying venture for Manisha. Her first solo poetry book, Euphony of My Heart, has been published and being received well across readers of all age groups. A warm welcome again, Manisha.
Thank you, Nisha, for this beautiful, wonderful introduction.
And before we start the conversation, I would like you to share the book with the audience so they can relate more to the book.
Sure, sure. This is my book, and this is very close to my heart. In fact, on the cover page, which has been edited by a dear friend of mine, Parul Rastogi, she did a wonderful job. So I thought of using this pic as the cover page because I wanted people to recognize me as well. So this
Of
is my
course.
book, and I just, I would like to urge all the readers. In fact, it's very important, for a new poet or a new author like us, if all of you, read the book, give a feedback. It's very, very important so that we know what the readers are looking at. So it's a new journey, new venture. Feedbacks are very important.
Absolutely. And how has the book been received? I think it has been received very well because social media is now it's
Yes,
so
yes,
prevalent that we
yes.
can see when the books are we get the
Yeah.
reviews online. So how has it been received? What is the kind of feedback that you have received for your book?
Yeah, the one feedback which is very close to my heart is the books has a myriad of poems, and
Yes.
people could relate. Some could relate to one section, some could relate to the other section, and very simply written because many people are not very voracious readers or not very command in
Language is a
English
barrier.
language.
Yes,
Yeah, it
correct.
becomes a barrier, but they loved about my poem, and they got back to me with this feedback that yes, it is very simply written, it touches a chord in their hearts, and that was my main idea behind it. And getting this feedback was very exhilarating. And in fact, one of the first readers, Surekha Sahu, she is actually a Hindi poet, And she said when she received the book, even before I got my first paperback copy, she had got it because she was so excited.
Oh my
And
God, how
I
sweet.
yeah, and the feedback that she gave, that she read from the first poem till the last poem, being a Hindi poet, and she wrote a wonderful review, which is the first review on Amazon as well, because this is available on the Amazon platform. I was absolutely thrilled. I have got many reviews from my friends and relatives, but that was a very special review coming from a Hindi poet.
I'm sure. I'm sure. See, that is what
Yeah.
I think makes all the difference. The language
Yes.
is relatable.
Yeah.
Anybody who flips the pages
Yes.
can,
Yes.
can relate to the what is written, the
Yes.
content of
Yes.
whatever
Yes.
writing it is.
Yes.
So I
I
think
don't
that's
want
very
to, just write for esoteric people. It doesn't make sense to me. I want to reach to the masses because I'm myself a massy person. So,
yeah, totally relatable. I think I write on similar lines. When
yes,
person is reading the poetry, it doesn't get
yes,
lost in,
yes,
understanding what is the
yeah,
logic
yes,
or meaning
yeah,
behind the poetry.
yes,
That's, I think, wonderful thought. And
yes,
I would like to tell the audience, unlike many, like we have sections in a poetry book, but I was very,
yes,
very surprised to see there were almost 7 sections in
yes,
Manisha's book.
yes,
Now,
yeah,
Manisha, would you like to tell us why you put, because I
yeah,
have selected one poem which I'll be reading from
sure,
section 4, Human
yeah,
Emotions. So that I'll
yes,
be reading
sure.
later. But what made you, so easily, I mean, you have, classified it into sections. So what was your thought behind that?
Yeah, I'll tell you the reason. When you read a poetry book, what happens is, if you are like 50 or 70 poetries in there,
Hmm.
you do not know, where to go. You are slightly lost.
Hmm.
And you need to have a lot of time, to read all of them one by one. So what
True.
I thought was making life a bit simpler for my readers and trying to touch, various chords with the readers. I thought of dividing it into, different sections. And
Hmm.
what I did was I clubbed similar kind of poems, having similar thought in those sections. So if you check any of the sections, for example, human emotions, so all those poems there, they talk of one or the other type of a human emotion. When I talk of she, I wrote a lot of poems in women empowerment, or
Women oriented. Yeah.
women oriented. So I put them into one section. Then love, life. So what happened was, it's very easy for the reader, whichever section appeals to him or her, you can just go directly there and read the poem. So I think that was another, a positive thing which I received from my readers, that this made the book, relatable, more easy to go to a section which,
So like nature had all the poetry
yeah,
related to
poetry,
nature.
yes, yes,
Because
and
generally it is into 1 or 2 sections
yeah,
or
yeah,
probably 3 sections.
yes,
So I
yes.
was surprised to see there were 7 sections. So would you like to tell them what were the sections? I mean, do you remember what
Yeah,
were the
sure,
sections?
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
See,
So
I'll
it will
tell
be
you the
nice for the audience to hear.
yes, yes, definitely. The first section which I thought was about putting it was on life, because
Hmm.
what I feel is, and if you see every section, I try to break it by putting either a sketch which is
Hmm.
drawn by me, or a
I was going
picture
to I was
again
going
which
to mention that.
and a picture which is again taken by me. So I wanted this to be completely, my skills, whether it is, pictography. Yes, you cannot see a lot of, I mean, the clarity is not there because it's all black and white, but
Right.
these pics have been clicked by me, and the sketches are very, very close to my heart. So I thought how to, make it like a
So
permanent
all the
thing, because
skills you put
yes,
together.
yeah. So I wanted to put all the skills together. So the first part is on the life. So if you
Hmm.
see, people, they start relating, and once you start relating, because life is something which is like, I mean, all of us try to understand what is life from a different perspective. So I have
Yes.
tried to take different takes on life. And then the second part is being a she, as I said. Third
Women
part is
oriented.
talking about, yeah, human emotions. And then fear of death. People do fear that what is going to happen, once this journey of life gets over. Then talking about the last two sections, one is about love, and then nature. So I did
It's
not say it
very,
in that particular order, but
that's
this
fine.
is
That
what,
doesn't,
yeah,
yeah.
this is what I was trying to achieve. That you know it's very difficult, as I said. I mean, these poems are very close to my heart, but
Hmm.
as far as the readers are concerned, I do not think they can read 50 or 70 poems at a time. So I just
True.
put them in sections, and when you break them with pictures and some different artwork, I think it gets a little interesting for the reader. So that was the main thought.
True, true. I
Yeah.
think each poet, conceives the book in his or her own
Yes.
ways.
Yes.
So I think
Yeah.
this, you have conceived it so well. And
Yeah.
also, I saw the end product, I got a soft copy thanks to you.
Yeah.
So I could see how, all your passion was imbibed in
Yes.
that book.
Yes.
So, and congratulations on your debut. And I think we
Thank
will
you.
be seeing more of your work in,
Thank you.
publishing. Yeah.
Yes. Here
So,
I would like
Manisha,
to,
we,
take you. Yeah,
yes.
sure. Few
No, no,
comments,
please, please
I
go ahead.
see Mani Saxena,
Yes.
she's like
How we think
really
alike,
able to,
I was just
yeah,
going to see the sections.
yes, yes.
Uh,
So she's like, she's able to associate herself. Jayashree Bhattacharya, a very dear friend of mine. We had done JACL symposium together. Anita Chand, and she's always been, very, very motivating. She's there. And I see Manoj Krishnan has already welcomed us on this, session
it's good to
tonight.
see, because there are
Yeah,
people who are,
yeah,
who have your back, they are always there
yeah.
for you.
Yes,
And I
yes,
think
yes.
we've become a small
In a
community,
small world, yes.
Yeah, so it's
Vanna
wonderful.
Baseen, another wonderful poet herself, and she's talking about fear of death. So I'm sure after this session today evening, a lot of you would be, reading my book, and please do give me feedback. It's very, very important.
Right.
Yeah.
On that note, would you like to read one of your poetry for the
Yes, sure,
audience?
sure. I think I would love to because all this while I have just been writing and sharing it on the platform. Today I have an opportunity to, read it out. The
Please,
first
we'll be
poem,
happy
which
to hear.
the first poem is from section one itself, which is "Life is Beautiful."
Hmm.
So I have tried to, explain life in different forms, like comparing it to a garden and ocean and nature.
So a lot
So
of
here it
metaphors,
goes. Yes. So here
similes,
it
and
goes.
please.
Life is beautiful. Life is beautiful like a garden. Myriad flowers bloom unconditionally, spreading their fragrance. Rarest of the flowers survive in the most adverse situation of existence. They neither compete in color with each other nor in abundance. Life is beautiful like an ocean. You need to imbibe the strength of calmness and live life in a stride. It is imperative to have a lot of depth, yet holding no pride. There should be seldom reasons to trespass the limits of boundaries and divide. Life is beautiful like the sky, forever shining bright, along with the powerful and overbearing sun. Always rings in a new day with self driven motivation and inspiration. Learns to romance with the resplendent moon and the twinkling stars like no one. Life is beautiful like a bird. Be ready and steady to take the fearless flight in the vast expanse of the sky. Steer in the right direction, laden with courage and wisdom to fly, to traverse and reach new heights with enthusiasm so high. Life is beautiful, like the seasons. A harsh summer is always followed by a pleasant autumn. However tough the winter, it slowly moves to a romantic spring with humdrum. Enjoy the seasonal ups and downs of life's sinusoidal curve without a tantrum. Life is beautiful because of you. Life is beautiful because of you, because I'm reading the last paragraph now. Strive hard to let the luminous light dwell within you. Always try to move forward with no replay button or overdue. No carrying forward heartburns and take pressure undue. Be there to enjoy the spontaneity with a smile of colorful hue. Be there to enjoy the spontaneity with a smile of colorful hue. So this is
That
my
is
take
so
on life.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Frankly, we got lost. I was trying to see what all you have captured in those few lines.
Yeah.
For me, what took the cake away was the seasons. It was so beautifully put. I mean, I couldn't imagine how you have,
Thank
very,
you.
very well said. I'm glad you narrated this, you recited this poem. It's really beautiful. And we have Vanna Basin saying, life is certainly beautiful, just like your words. Such a motivating poem. So the audience also is enjoying it as
Yeah.
well.
Deep Saxena is also there, and she's saying so beautiful. And I'm sure if they are liking these poems, I think I have done my bit,
You
because the
have.
main idea is, to just touch the reader's heart. That's what I'm looking at. Nothing more, nothing less. So,
True. I think it has to
yeah.
touch a chord somewhere. Otherwise, it's,
Yes, yes. Yeah,
worthless. Yeah.
yeah. Because
Hmm.
poem is, you are trying to express a feeling. And if I'm not
Yes.
able to reach the reader with that feeling. Maybe the person is taking it in a way he or she, understands, but there should has to be a connect. Otherwise,
Correct.
you just lost it. I mean, so
And one more question is like, what about the title? How did you, think of Euphony of the Heart? Was there
okay.
something like, we always dream and desire that if I ever publish, I will keep it this. So was it conceived well in advance, or did you think of it while writing the poetry?
Okay, when I decided on all these 50 poems which will be getting into this book, and when I put them into different sections, so I was just thinking that, they are talking of myriad emotions. They are talking of, different thoughts, different feelings. So how do I consolidate them into one title? So I thought
Yes.
Euphony of my heart is something like which is, coming straight from my heart and reaching the heart of the readers. So that is how, and this was not conceived much in advance. This was conceived, just before I sent these poems for, publishing. So it
And
just came as a, you can say, a spontaneous title.
I think our audience also agrees the same, that poetry loses its essence if
Yes,
readers trapped in words.
yes,
So, because
yes,
we could, when you were reciting the poem, we could actually visualize. So, that I
yes,
think makes it even more beautiful.
yes, yes. Because
Thank you
I
so
think,
much.
yeah, we see more in images. Mind understands, pics and images more than words. So
Correct.
I think if you're able to visualize, you are able to appreciate more.
And how have
Thank
you
you, Vandana.
incorporated
Yeah,
your how
yeah,
have you
yeah.
incorporated your sketches and this thing? Did you do it for every poem, or did you, do it for a compilation of a section?
Yeah, compilation of a section.
Okay, so
Because
you
and I did not draw it right away. I had a
yes.
collection. I do keep doing sketches, so it came handy. I could select the sketches, which were like suiting that particular section, so I could fit in there. So yeah.
Wonderful. We are getting lovely comments for you. Bishaka
Yes,
says, Euphony of
yes.
Heart sounds musical. It was
Thank
musical.
you. Thank you, Vishaka.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate all the audience joining us and showing so much of
Yeah.
interest in the
Yes, yes,
sessions. Makes a lot of.
yes.
And there is Deep Saxena. She says, very energetic and interesting
Energetic.
session.
She's a
Thank you
dear
so
friend.
much.
Thank you, Deep.
Oh,
Yeah, she's a dear friend. Yes.
what are friends for?
Yeah,
So, on
absolutely.
that note, I would like to recite, with your permission, one of the poems.
Absolutely. I'll be thrilled.
See why I selected. I took this one. I took Manisha's permission before reciting, because some poems are so close to your heart that only you want to do justice to them. But because I resonated with these words. So when I was reading your poetry, freedom for me, I'm a free bird. For me, freedom means a lot. Not in terms of like what I wish to do. In the right
Sure.
direction. So
Yeah.
for me, I just completely related to this, and I would like to read her poetry, Freedom. And I also remember the section, it was for section 4, and that was human emotions. So can I, Manisha?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. Freedom of thought is what I yearn for forever, flying with the wind between my feathers, to break free from all the mundane matters in a world of oblivion where dreams are not shattered. I wish to leave behind all imposed restraints, brush past aside all the change constraints, take a long haul flight even beyond infinity, and stay the rest of the life there till eternity. Instill the courage to climb the highest pedestal, to be at the top and relish the nectarine celestial, to ignore the unwanted and come out of the boredom, to pursue innate desires and lead way on my terms. That's what the line I really loved. And there are 4 lines in the end which I would like to read because they were so beautiful. Freedom of expression is all that I bear. Freedom of thought is all that I dare. Freedom of speech is all that I share. Freedom of life is all for what I care. Such beautiful and very strong lines, Manisha. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's actually overwhelming, when someone, who herself is a very good poet. I know I have been reading your poets all these 2.5 years that we have been associated with Asian Literary Society, and you are talking so passionately about my poem is giving me a new high tonight, so you have made my day. Thank you very much, Nisha, for these wonderful words, encouraging words. And Ankurita again. So thank you. She's talking about your recitation. And
I feel I don't have a good voice, so I'm very hesitant in reciting,
no, you
but
have a very husky voice, you know that?
it's too husky.
Yeah, no, it's very romantic, very husky.
Oh,
Manoj is
then I
saying
should.
quite intriguing. Yeah, you should always, read poems and, I mean, do sessions wherein you get an opportunity.
That
You have
is,
a wonderful
like
voice.
good for my ego. Thank you so much,
No,
Manisha.
it's actually, not because, we are sitting here together, but it's actually because I could relate to what you're saying. I could get those emotions. So it's all because of your voice modulation. So it's wonderful. I mean, so never feel that you don't have a good voice. You have a wonderful voice.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're
Really means
welcome.
a lot. And we
Yeah.
have Vishaka saying freedom of speech is all that we
Yes.
share. Beautiful. See, I think these platforms have, given us an opportunity to,
Yes.
say things
Absolutely.
from our perspective.
Absolutely.
There are no
Absolutely.
constraints, there are no
Yes.
limitations. Of course, we have to abide by, the
Yes.
lines, number of
Yes.
syllables or
Yes.
whatever. But
Yeah.
apart from that, we are given that full freedom. So I think,
And the constancy of these contests and the
yes,
frequency, I mean, he just does not relent, and we as participants, we are always on our toes. So I think both these things, they are just well in sync, and he is himself such a wonderful poet, so he can really bind us all together. I mean, this platform is really wonderful. And what I find is, here the group of people, they have such a good bonding with each other. I mean,
absolutely.
yeah. So I think that is very motivating for new poets like us.
Correct, correct. Because
Yeah,
when we started, we were so raw.
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel I can see the changes in me. And tell me something
yeah,
about, because I read a few of your poetry. Do you
yeah.
abide by some rhyme scheme, or do you follow a certain pattern in your poetry, or you write even free verses?
I
How do
think,
you yeah, compile your
yeah,
poetry?
majorly they are free verses,
Hmm.
but I try to have some rhyme, into those paragraphs or stanzas, because
It's lyrical, yeah.
yeah, because that lyrical thing makes it interesting. Again, I always think of the readers, that
Hmm.
when a reader, maybe he's a judge, I mean, if it's a poetry contest or anyone,
Hmm.
if he or she is able to enjoy reading that poem, I think then only he'll be or she'll be reading it in the entirety. So I try to, because otherwise at times I see that it gets boring if it doesn't
Yeah.
have so I think, and I try to weave a story around my poems. Normally, if you
Good.
see, 60% of my, yeah, 50%, I would say, my poems have a story, and 50% is all about a little bit of philosophy and some
I
other
feel you, because
aspects.
I think I also try to weave
Yeah,
stories. So I think we
yeah,
are on similar page,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yes,
I think it gives, when the person starts reading,
yeah,
they understand, they get carried away with the
yes,
entire,
yes,
plot of the story. I
yes,
mean, there are few things about life and all which you
yes,
can just
yes,
generalize.
yeah,
But,
yeah,
when there's human emotions, I always
yes.
feel, that does justice.
And stories, I think, whether it is written in a poetic form or in a story form, anything that
Hmm.
is story, easily relatable, and people try to read it. And I think that's my main aim. I want people to read my poem, because writing doesn't make any sense to me, so I try to
Correct.
get there. Yeah,
So, on that note, one more poetry from you. And before
yeah,
that,
sure.
can we break the momentum? I read that you also do, शायरी एंड गजल्स सो
Yeah,
अपने ऑडियंस को थोड़ा सा चेंज करके थोड़ा गजल हो जाए बिफोर योर
जरूर
नेक्स्ट
जरूर,
पोइट्री
या श्योर,
या
गुनगुनाने की कोशिश करूंगी। अगर बेसुरी हो जाऊं तो माफ करिएगा पहले ही
कोई बात नहीं हम सब माफी है ऑडियंस इज एंजॉयिंग आई एम श्योर दे विल गेट कैरिड अवे प्लीज गो अहेड
हाँ, दिस वाज माय फर्स्ट गजल। और जब एएलएस की मीटिंग में, याद आप लोग को याद होगी, जो हम मिले थे द ऑफलाइन सेशन, सो आई
यस
हैड ट्राई टू सिंग इट, आई हैव एडेड फ्यू शेयर्स हियर। तो ये गजल का जो उन्वान है, तो क्या कहने, तो ये गुनगुना के कोशिश करती हूँ सुनाने की।
प्लीज
जुनूने इश्क हो जाए तो क्या कहने, जुनूने इश्क हो जाए तो क्या कहने, कली हमदम के खिल जाए तो क्या कहने, लोग तो बहुत मिलेंगे जिंदगी की राह में, लोग तो बहुत मिलेंगे जिंदगी की राह में, दिल की कश्ती न हिल जाए तो क्या कहने,
वाह वाह।
ख्वाबों को सजाना और सजा के भी मिटाना, ख्वाबों को सजाना और सजा के भी मिटाना, वो ख्वाबों में भी मिल जाए तो क्या कहने, वो ख्वाबों में भी मिल जाए तो क्या कहने, बड़ी बेखौफ मोहब्बत की इन्हीं जंजीरों से, बड़ी बेखौफ मोहब्बत की इन्हीं जंजीरों से, दिलों जा गर संभल जाए तो क्या कहने, दिलों जागर संभल जाए तो क्या कहने, वक्त की आंधियां उड़ा न ले जाए तुझे, वक्त की आंधियां उड़ा न ले जाए तुझे, हौसले मन के सिल जाए तो क्या कहने, हौसले मन के सिल जाए तो क्या कहने। मक्ता पेश कर रही हूँ, आखिरी लाइन, मतलब आखिरी 2 लाइनें, आखिरी शेर। गर जिंदा हो अमोल तो जिंदा दिल जियो, गर जिंदा हो अमोल तो जिंदा दिल जियो, फकत दम ही निकल जाए तो क्या कहने, फकत दम ही निकल जाए तो क्या कहने, जुनूने इश्क हो जाए तो क्या कहने, कली हमदम की खिल जाए तो क्या कहने।
I have a perpetual smile. Thank God Botox नहीं है. Botox होता तो I couldn't smile. तो मैं throughout, I could actually understand what you're trying to say. What the next line would be, मेरे को, क्योंकि I was listening so intently.
हाँ,
सिर्फ एक चीज यहाँ मिसिंग थी, एक चिलमन की, तो पूरा मुशायरा हो जाता आज तो. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. I'm glad.
चिलवना से लगा के
नहीं, बहुत ही खूबसूरत था. एंड आई थिंक मनोज विल बी इंस्पायर्ड टू स्टार्ट अ मुशायरा आल्सो.
आई
सो
थिंक कुछ
थैंक यू.
शाम में मौसीकी कुछ सेशन तो चल ही रहा है
यस
आपके
यस,
एयरलेस पे। हाँ,
मनी इज डूइंग दैट.
हाँ,
So that
थैंक
will
यू
be, I'm
मनोज
sure.
फॉर
So next you'll
अप्रिशिएटिंग
be
माय
invited there, huh, Manisha?
गजल। या एक्चुअली गजल लिखना ना थोड़ा टफ होता है, बिकॉज उसमें क्या होता है ना, बड़ी सारे उसके पैरामीटर्स होते हैं,
Yeah,
एंड मी
meters you to
बीइंग अ
follow.
नॉन, या मी बीइंग अ नॉन उर्दू स्पीकिंग पर्सन, आई हैव नेवर लर्नड उर्दू, सो इट गेट्स अ बिट टफ, पर ठीक है, कोशिश करती हूँ, गलतियां
नहीं
होती
नहीं,
हैं, फिर
बहुत अच्छी
सीखती हैं ऐसे
कोशिश की,
दिस
कामयाब हो गई. एंड यू वर सो
इज
मेलोडियस, यू वर सो
थैंक यू,
मेलोडियस.
थैंक यू।
Thank you. And we are running short of time,
या
so I
या
don't want to take away the time from you. I would like you to just read your second poetry also,
श्योर श्योर
and then a few words for the audience before we leave.
श्योर। Now, this poetry is again very close to my heart. This is one of the first poetries that I had written. And this was for, remember, there used to be a children's section in the beginning in
Yes,
Asian
yes.
Literary Society, and I got a gold award for this. So I got like
Wow.
pretty excited that I have started on a very, big note. So
Yeah.
this poem is titled Birthday Gift, and it is on an orphan child. And I used
Oh,
to visit
beautiful.
orphanage. So I had adopted this child for a year, a
How
small baby,
nice.
beautiful baby. So keeping her in mind, I wrote this poetry. So a
Please.
bit touching, but
कोई
very
बात नहीं.
close to my heart. Yeah. The little girl woke up with a lot of pain on her face. Resting on a garbage pile, she was full of disgrace. No one around her to embrace her with love or call her by her name. Life was nothing but a shame. Picked up by a stranger in a dirty police van. Left alone on the cradle under the broken fan. Days went by aimlessly, nights spent in despair. Never knew of celebrations or any other fanfare. One morning there came a surprise. Her friends shouted and yelled. Up in the arms of a lovely mother, her red cheeks just swelled. She woke up in peace, a new journey had begun, her sad memories dimmed by the setting sun. Counting the colorful candles and tallying her years, a special birthday gift of a new life was all hers.
How
So this was
beautiful.
actually true because the orphanage is also an adoption center, and she was just to be adopted very soon. Wonderful girl child, and I could have shared the picture also, but
You're not
it,
allowed
it, it
to.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a wonderful feeling when I heard that, that she's getting adopted to a nice family from Kolkata, I believe.
How nice,
So yeah,
you
so
you
thinking
feel
of
so
that.
accomplished because
Yes,
you also
yes,
contributed in some ways.
yes. I went to that orphanage to celebrate her birthday, and it was a wonderful. And she was just a year old, I think. Yeah, a year old child. So beautiful girl.
God bless you for that,
Yeah.
really. And the poetry was as beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
you have touched like from life, you have gone to this birthday gift. You have covered
Yes.
almost everything. Usme thoda romance bhi aapne dal diya, so which
हाँ
was
जी.
it made it into a very beautiful half an hour session. And really, thank you so much for taking out time. Anything that you would like to share with the audience who's joined us and Manoj?
Yeah, Manoj, I have, much less words. I mean, I'm short of words actually to thank Manoj Krishan, because, as I said right in the beginning, the kind of, I mean, the platform that he has given us and the kind of motivation he gives us. And, whenever he gives us any kind of a prize, any of these poetries, I mean, it really gives a high, that,
Of
okay,
course.
you have done it kinds. So
Yes.
I think all these motivations helps us a lot. I mean, has helped me a lot personally. And, one thing I would just like to say for all my viewers, anyone who wishes to write, start writing. Do not wait for, one fine morning. Just start doing it. And, despite you will get a lot of negativities, a lot of negative comments, a lot of positive comments. But, if you have a passion and if you want to follow this path, don't look back. Because this is my personal experience coming from a non-literary background. Just 2.5 years back, I just sat down with a pen. I thought, now I'll start penning my thoughts. And this is where I am, sitting here and talking to Nisha Tandon on the ALS platform. Both Nisha and ALS platform is like very dear to me, because, I mean,
It's an
all of
instant
you, I
connect,
would
I
say,
think. We had
yeah,
an instant connect.
absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. Whether, when I see all these comments coming from all these wonderful poets, all these things, motivate.
I think
So
Seema
thank you
also,
very
Seema
much.
Jain has been,
Yeah,
following
yes,
and she's been leaving comments. She
yeah,
says
yeah,
about the orphan child, your
yes,
poetry was
yes.
so touching and
So I think
graciously
people are,
rendered.
yeah, listening and commenting. So that is very, very, happy moment for me. And thank you very much. This is what I can say. I had a lovely time talking to you. Very, very candid chit chat. So this is
I
what.
think the session
Uh,
has to be like this, so it can,
yes,
the audience also connects,
yes,
and
yes.
it was a very smooth and flawless. This thing we had a wonderful session, and Manoj, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for getting people on board, because they are apprehensive about sharing their journey. So
Yes,
this is
yes,
such a wonderful platform, even if you're for the
absolutely.
first time or you
Yeah,
are an accomplished writer. Like next week we have somebody, I don't want to reveal their name right now, but somebody who's been writing for years
for
and he
years.
is very keen to be here. So for us, that is an achievement,
Yeah,
that
yes,
they consider this platform really worthy of being there.
absolutely. There is no, two ways about it. So yeah,
Mhm. Thank you so much.
thank
And half
you.
an hour just flew, and I'm so
Yeah,
happy to have
absolutely.
conversed with you. And thank you, Manisha, once
Thank
again.
you. Good night. Bye bye. Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much
much.
for
And
inviting.
thank you to the audience for joining us again and making this session even more interesting. And we will see you next Monday, 8 o'clock, with somebody who's really accomplished in his field. We look forward to the session. Thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you so much. Good night. Bye bye.